further ado, Shannon, take it away. And can we thank her for being here?
So first of all, my name is Shanan Steere. I've been in the business for 22 years in real estate, total sales of 30 years, believe it or not. My first company was a Fortune 100 company with American Home Products, so that's where I started my sales training. And then I went into pharmaceuticals for 5 years, and then I got into surgical sales for Johnson & Johnson. So before I was 28 years old, I had been with 3 top sales companies, and the reason I got into sales is because I didn't have a car when I graduated from college. And that was the only job that offered a car. So and then organically I got into sales. I then quickly realized that after exceeding my goals every single year, and they changed my comp plan every December, that I had to work for myself. So that's when I got into real estate. So real estate's been 22 years. The first 8 years I sold 550 homes with an admin, which was my mom. I had little babies during that time. I was crazy. I averaged about 55, 60 houses a year. JD, we did deals way back then, right?
Right.
Kathy, I did a couple with you way back then. In 2005, I opened up the Keller Williams Shawnee office. I own 40% of the franchise. My 2 partners were Judy Johns and Mary Ann Darst. I'm sure many of you know those 2 names. I still own part of the building, which is fun. Not really. And what happened was I fell in love with the job of recruiting, and I fell in love with leadership. So I then became the team leader of Keller Williams Overland Park. I took it from number 100 to 25 in profit out of 400 offices in 2.5 years. I then got recruited to international to become an international leadership coach. That's where I did my 6,000 coaching calls. After that, in 2009, I auditioned to be part of Bold. I'm sure you guys have gotten advertisements about Bold. It is a crazy, awesome 7-week mindset head trick that gets people actually into motion. I then became a head Bold coach and started training Bold coaches on building their marketing and their training businesses. So life happens sometimes, health happened, CEOs happened and changed at Keller Williams, which upset the whole apple cart in that company, by the way, in 2015. And I came back into sales in 2016. Now I'm back in sales after all of that training. So what would you do if you were me and you had all that knowledge?
You can work at Reese Nichols.
I did. For a great opportunity, by the way. What else? Put it to work. Yeah, right? Like, now I'm a weapon, and now I can actually go put this to work and start building a team. And I failed at building a team. I have failed all over the place. And those of you who are close to me in my office, I talk about failing. I fail all the time. Which, by the way, is part of life, right? So what happened is in 2018, we had quite a year. Not really. So let's back up. I want to start this before we get into our story, because part of our story is exactly where some of you may be, and it may get you to go forward. So have you ever planned a trip? Have you ever planned a trip?
Yes.
How much time do you take in planning a trip?
Not enough.
Do you do some reviews? Do you look at the excursions? Do you look at the flights? Do you talk to a travel agent? Do you talk to all your family members? Do you get photos of where you're going? How much time do you actually spend in planning the perfect trip? How many hours? What do you think?
10 hours.
A lot, right? So let me ask you this. Did you spend that much time this year in doing your business plan as planning the perfect trip?
Yes.
We have one.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is kind of what this is about, right? We spend a lot of time on things that are really important to us, and yet most people, when I say the word business plan, they go, been there, done that, next. And that's exactly what we want to throw away. Because when we start this year in 2020, many of you probably look at this gigantuan goal ahead of you and go, oh my God, I got to start all over. It's January. This process in this book gets rid of all of that. What did you guys read in the book that says no more annual planning? What did you get out of that?
Breaks it down into more manageable.
More manageable, it breaks it down, it chunks it down. What else?
More urgency.
More urgency. Urgency is a big key here. So when Kathy gave you guys this pre-work book, this is something that we created for our last class. So some of this is really not applicable. I didn't know you guys have this whole packet. Otherwise I would have probably given you a couple more pages, and that's okay. I want you to go to this page though. I'd like to know who in here has the perfect wheel? If you connected the dots, who in here has the perfect wheel? And it's all the way out to the edge. Anyone? Okay, great. You're all human. That's perfect. So when you go through this, what ahas did you get out of this circle? Areas you need to focus on. Areas you need to focus on.
I actually ended up feeling a little bit more balanced than I thought I was.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I were to give this same circle to your spouse or to the person closest to you in your life, would it mirror the one that you did? It's a great question, right? Like, is our own perception different than other perceptions about us? And are we really who we say we are? So as we start getting into this, the second page on here is the long-term aspiration. What is a long-term aspiration? How long is it? 5, 10 to 15. 3 to 5 is a midterm goal. So here's what I'll tell you. Most people end up having 10 one-year careers in real estate versus one 10-year career. Why? They don't stay focused. Why else? They don't have a plan. They do the same thing. Why do they do the same thing over and over every year? It's easier. Because they have not figured out what their long-term aspiration is, and they're not emotionally connected to moving forward. If you don't have this big long-term aspiration that's pulling you every day to get there, guess what? You're not going to get there. You're just going to keep down here on the hamster wheel. So part of this book is making you think, and when I read this book for the first time, this is exactly what really struck me, right? At my age, by the way, does it change in age?
Yes.
A long-term aspiration in the 20s is very different than the 30s, very different from the 40s, very different from the 50s. How does that change? And are you super clear about your long-term aspiration? So this is something, by the way, that you should be talking to your lead agents and Kathy and Heather about. Because if you don't have it big enough and defined enough that you get up in the morning and you drive towards that, you're going to keep having 10 one-year careers. Over and over and over. By the way, that's the definition of insanity, right? Which is super awesome. What else did you get out of the workbook?
Come on, guys.
Something, well, it kind of came from the book. I listened to it on audio also, and then going through here was to make sure you're thinking big enough, and that you're uncomfortable. And I've heard that before, but I kind of got it better with this.
Yeah.
So,
Part of our role is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, you're not going to grow. So,
Well,
yes,
on the
Connie.
circle, it just really brought some things to the forefront for me about my life that I hadn't really wanted to think about or
Right.
hadn't thought.
Sometimes we don't want to think about those things, right? Like they're over here, we don't want to pay attention, and it may be one of those things. It could be spiritual, it could be health, it could be finances, and I'll get to that later, I'll get to that next year, whatever. What about your midterm goals? Were these easier to define? Could you see 3 to 5 years out easier than 10, 15? Okay. What are some of your midterm goals that you wrote down?
More travel.
More travel. Awesome. I love that one. So what do you have to do to get more travel?
Make more money.
Make more money. Right? What else? What else did you
College
write
for my
down?
15-year-old.
Pay for college. Have college already pre-funded. Depending on where they go, Jeff.
You're right.
In the middle of that one. Okay. What else? Health. 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 Right? Health can be a great. Okay. What else?
Keep good friends close.
Keep good friends close. How specific are you being when you write down these goals? Are they smart?
I said dinner.
Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they attainable? Are they they time bound? Or are you just airy-fairying this stuff? Because I will tell you, part of the 12-week plan is about no more airy-fairy, right? It gets you down to the daily. And when you talk about the scorecard in our planner, we have a daily percentage at the bottom that you calculate. How did you do daily? Because we know if you get past the daily and you go to a week or a month, you're done. You might as well just hang it up and wait for another market. Why do I say that? I'm gonna keep asking you questions, by the way.
Because you're not dealing with reality anymore. Right. What you actually.
Yeah, the daily activities are what are gonna apply.
Right. So Mary, you've gone through group coaching with us. You know that every day counts, right? And if you score yourself on a daily basis, you can pretty much predict exactly what your income's gonna be, and you can make adjustments much faster. So where are we today? This is your first page in your handout that I gave you today, not in the workbook that we gave you. I gave you a different one today. You should have 2 packets on your desk. One that Kathy sent you, one that I put on your desk today. So today we're all at ground zero. The only one that I know of in this class so far that's done a 12-week year is Jane. Has anybody else actually done one? Nobody else? So we're all in the same level field, correct? Perfect. How do we now figure out how to go forward? What's important? Number one, you've got to figure out what your long-term aspiration is up front. Otherwise, this year you might as well just cash it in. And what I heard Kathy say is it is absolutely critical that everybody gets connected to their goals so that you actually achieve it. People don't achieve goals because they're not connected to it. You don't wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to go kick ass today so that I can make that happen, right? Then excuses get in the way, things get in the way, life gets in the way, and you go, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, if you're scorecarding yourself every day at 85% and you know your efficiency based on that scorecard on a daily basis, would your life change? And then if you bring that to a coach in your office or a team lead in your office and you say, here's my planner for the week and here's how I did and here's where I failed, how do we re-strategize for the next week? If you do that weekly, by the way, how would your year change? And that's the last time I'm going to say year. Because we're going to talk about what? Yeah, 12 weeks, right? Everything is now in 12 weeks. So turn to your next page, please, in your booklet. I did leave you some note areas. This is on page 3, so that you can take some notes as we go. So step 1, I'm going to put you into a little bit of pain here.
What page? I'm sorry.
It's the other, this one.
Oh,
The one that I brought. It looks like this. Page 2.
got it.
Yep. Step 1, you ready for some pain? I love working with pain and pleasure as a coach. I'd like you to write down what you closed last year. Kathy, do you do units or volume?
Volume.
Volume.
Well, we do both. No, we do both.
Okay, do both. Write down how many units you closed and what was your volume last year.
Under step 1?
You can write it in the notes below, or you can write it at the top of the page. You have all kinds of freedom here. Okay, I had a whole bunch of them in a box. Do we have leftovers?
No, there's one.
Okay. So write down what your volume was, what your transactions were. After that, I'd like you to write down what your goal was for volume and what your transactions goal was last year. Oh boy, Heather says. Who had a different number? Who had a lower number? Okay. So this is where the pain starts. Ready? The first number lower than your goal.
Oh.
Here's where the first one is. The first number is your level of thinking. So if you look at your volume level, that is the level of thinking that you are currently at. So what has to change in order for your volume to go up? That you're thinking. The second one is your level of commitment. So your gap is your actual level of commitment. If you look at the gap, if you did the numbers, that's your level of commitment. So what if you changed your thinking and you changed your commitment? What could KBT do in 2020? If everybody on this team hit their 85%, Kathy, you guys would do over 400.
Correct.
Easy in a blink. And it really does come down to that. And it's stripping away all of the excess stuff that goes on out in the world and just down to your keystone tactics, which we're going to talk about more in the class. So what's the difference between coaching and training? Who knows the difference? Training, you're telling, coaching, you're guiding. That's a great definition. Who else has a different definition? So coaching causes action. Coaching has accountability. What else?
Coaching, you've done it. Training yourself, teach others to do it.
Could be. Some coaches haven't done it. Like Tiger Woods has a coach that's never won the PGA. However, he knows it. Mary.
With coaching, you're guiding each person to help them come to the answer themselves and what works for them. With training, it's gonna be more of a, this is how you do it, you know, and it's not tailored as much, it's not as
I would-
individual.
I think
Okay.
the training is like tactical.
Training can be tactical. Okay. Who else?
I look at it like skill versus will.
Skill versus will. Ooh, write that down. What else? This is really important. I'm not a trainer. If I was a trainer, I'd come in here and tell you what to do. I'm a coach. So a coach is a coach. It's the process of getting you to think and teaching you how to think so you get what you want when you want it. There's a big difference here. So if you think I'm in here to tell you exactly what to do in a 12-week year, you might as well leave. What am I here to do? Teach you how to think. That changes everything, by the way. Because now it's just like, I can give you a fish or I can teach you how to fish. Which one is going to feed you for life? By the way, it's the same thing with lead generation. From somebody who runs a team, it's the exact same thing. We have to teach how to fish, not just give you a fish, right? So this becomes super important as we go forward. So tell me what worked in 2019. Those of you who did not have a gap, what worked really, really well?
What'd you do? You did a great year. Stephanie had her best year ever.
Okay, what happened? What caused it?
Some of the actions that I had been taking over the last few years just
Compounded?
produced results.
Okay. Did you stop doing those things?
No.
Okay, that's a big key. So she was doing things, she was having success, she started compounding them, and she didn't stop. How many of you stopped doing open houses that you started your career with that now you don't think that they work because it takes too much time on a weekend? Is that a good example? Great example. I just double-ended a 625 this weekend from an open house. Do they work?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to be throwing in paradigm shifts as we go today to get you to think a little bit differently, because many of us were brought up in the basics in real estate. Who said you got to go away from the basics? So what I heard you just say is you're doing the basics and now you're having a compounding effect. Okay, excellent. Who else had a great year? And you can say, yep, this is what worked and here's why. Yes. Tell me your name,
So I
please.
shared this with her, I'm Veronica.
Okay.
And, so I actually did work. So
Oh,
what
you
I-
worked?
Yeah.
You mean you got up and went to work?
I went to work.
Stop it.
So
That's amazing.
I had stopped doing open houses and I'd stopped consistently prospecting, and then last year was like a bad year for me. And so I started working, started doing open houses. Brooke and I consistently prospected, and I also got a sense of urgency from her because she is like urgent times 1,000. So I embraced a little tiny bit of that.
Right. So by the way, I've done a deal with Brooke, and I know she's super urgent.
And I emailed you yesterday, and you better email me back.
That's right. Well, and here's the deal. That's her behavior. If you're not naturally behavior like that, can you still adopt urgency?
Yes.
Yes. Right? Brooke, you're a natural urgent person. So am I, so is Kathy, so is Heather, so is Dawn. There's a whole bunch of them in here, right? Just because you're not natural at that does not mean you can't create urgency, and that's exactly what this plan does, is it creates urgency. Because if you sat right now and you looked at that giant mountain of your giant goal for this year, what does your brain automatically do? Oh shit. What else? Can I do it again?
I think you get overwhelmed.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think what I liked about this book, and I actually thought about Veronica because I noticed she implemented, I feel like in 2019, and she had her best year ever, more of like a 12-week year. I really did. Whereas like in 2018, she was the typical, I'm gonna cram it all in the last month. So, yeah, and it was, I think you were really unhappy, and it just creates stress going into the next year.
Yeah.
You know?
How were your holidays when you did that?
Not as good as this year.
Yeah, they stink, right? I mean, if you're starting to do that, how does that affect your family and your health and everything else? So what failed this year? Those of you who had big gaps, love to lower your vulnerability wall right here, because everybody can learn from it. But how did you fail?
Anyone wanna be
Didn't
honest?
stay consistent.
What did
Okay.
they, what?
Didn't stay consistent.
Okay.
That's a great one.
And who was that said that?
Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes.
Keep going. I'd like some
I
honesty here.
stopped prospecting when I was busy, so
You
that,
stopped prospecting.
so that messed up the next month of the busy season.
So you started doing this.
Yes.
Okay, the roller coaster that we all need to get off of. Okay, what else? How did you fail?
I let down a little bit.
You let down?
Enjoyed life versus like,
Okay, so was that terrible?
no, it was great.
What if you had systems that you could keep up with? Only because we had this talk in December, right? What if though your business stayed up there, you still got to let down? Right? That's another thing about this book, is it gives you on sprints. Then you get to take a vacation and take a break and regroup and re-strategize and re-systematize. And then you get to go again versus having it be this long, drawn out 12-month year. Alright, how else did you fail?
I had a hard mental year last year, so I'm trying to change my overall mental health and my physical health, and I started that in December because I realized I wasn't being, I don't know, I was letting my mental state of mind hold me back from achieving and focusing on my true goals.
Yeah.
So I need to get those things correct to make everything else.
Some people do
Flow like I want
fantastic
to.
in health, and then they never apply that discipline to their business. Some people do great in business and they never apply that discipline to health. Some people have got it figured out and do both. It doesn't matter, right? Any other great failures?
I failed
Right
in
side of mine.
balance.
Failed in balance.
Balance.
Is it anybody else fail in balance
We all
last
do,
year?
but I did it really bad.
You did it really bad. Any other failures?
Well, again, it goes back to being strategic with my time. I was not strategic enough with my time.
So you failed with strategy on your time.
With my time and my family, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
people know that usually I take 2 or 3 trips a year or so, weeks a year. But this last year was brutal. It's like I worked really hard to make it happen. And then I ended up working the whole damn trip because I didn't have things planned. It wasn't strategic. So I can tell you that 2 of the trips, including the one I took in December, was brutal because I worked almost the whole time.
How did that affect your family that you were on there with?
I mean, negatively.
By the way, that's another pain point. I'm just pushing
And
on
it's
you.
not that that's ever gonna go away completely, but I could have been a little more strategic. I could have had somebody back home helping. I could have done things differently than what I did.
Mary, you had your hand up.
Yeah, fail to have, you have these opportunities, and you have to have your eyes open to them, so it's failed, didn't have my focus quite right to where I missed some opportunities.
And you've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? Life gets in the way. Yes?
I failed in action.
Failed in action.
I'm a new agent.
How so?
Because I'm a new agent, so I kept
So don't ever tell me you're a new agent.
well, I'm only telling you. I was preparing,
Yeah, you're not new anymore.
preparing, instead of just doing action. And
So you're getting ready to get ready to
Yes.
get ready?
Yes. Yep.
I want you to practice ready, fire, aim. Not ready, aim, fire. You have something?
Oh, I just said I did that my first year.
No, you did that. Yeah. Most people do. 20.
I just feel like that last year, I'm usually a positive person, and I don't feel
What
You know, I really don't know. It wasn't a particularly good year for me. And so I think I allowed myself to get negative. And again, that's unusual for me, so that's not gonna happen this year.
Good.
And
How do you keep that from not
well,
happening?
I'm going to do gratitude, constantly gratitude, be thankful for everything I have, and just say that on a daily basis. I'm gonna have a better prayer life than I normally have.
Good.
And so I think with doing those things that I know I can
So you can master your mindset
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
One more.
Yeah, I feel the same way as Monty. My attitude was terrible. I broke my leg at the beginning of the year and then I just couldn't get things right.
Did you allow yourself to use that as an excuse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And by the way, do we all have health things go on? Do we all have family things go on? Do we all have stuff go on, right? I know, Becky, you had a ginormous year last year. Becky and I have known each other for a very, very long time. And it's just crazy sometimes. I had a health crisis in 2015 that I was in the hospital for 18 days. You just never know sometimes what could happen that may change your life upside down. Now, I knew it was coming, by the way. I prepared for it. I planned for it. I didn't think it would be 18 days. I thought it'd be 4. And when you plan for things like that, or you're always planning, so in case something does happen, can you rebound much quicker? And you also don't allow yourself to give an excuse. So here's how we failed. You can turn the page. I failed all over the place last year. So I came over, Mike, thank you for being here. I came over last September, or in 2018, to join Reese for an opportunity really to start a coaching company, because where I was, it was not possible. I was one of the sweethearts at the coaching company. I was a head coach. I had too many I just couldn't do it. It would be a big fat lawsuit. So Mike and I started talking, and we started talking about the opportunities of, what training and coaching is out there for top agents. What are the possibilities in Berkshire Hathaway as a whole in home services? So I have a partner named Stacey McVeigh, and some of you've been on video with her. And she's out of Cleveland, and so strategically I joined an independent, and she joined a franchise, so that we can start networking through the Berkshire and Home Services network to start a coaching company. By the way, I still do sell real estate, obviously, right? So last year in 2019, I decided what our goal was. First mistake. Why is that a mistake? Yeah, I can't put goals on somebody else. They have to do their own goals. So I decided we were going to do 132 deals last year. Now, I had hired the most fabulous man, and many of you know him. He approached me to come on as a brand new agent the November before, Eddie Morales. Who knows Eddie Morales in here? Okay. So Eddie sent me down after closing, and he said, okay, I need to get some balance in my family life. Getting ready to have a baby. A month away, by the way. I'd like to join your team because I know that you'll spend time coaching and training. I thought long and hard about it. By the way, when this organization takes on a brand new agent, how much time do you think it takes to get you up and running and training? A lot. How many hours of training, right? So when we hire somebody, we spend a ton of time. By the way, the teams that fail do not spend time training their people. That's one of the reasons why you guys are so awesome. They understand coaching and training at a really high level. So I brought on Eddie as a brand new agent. What does that instantly do to my production as a small team? Am I taking more time to go train him sometimes than do my own business? Yes. Okay. Big personal stuff happened. Life got in the way. I also hired another agent in November who probably was not the best hire for me because of her behavior assessment, which I'm very big into the DISC and understanding who goes where and what you should be lead generating and how to really succeed at who you are in your natural behavior. We ended the first quarter with 18 closings. Okay, what was our goal?
132.
132, my goal, by the way. And I was doing my first quarter review with my coach. How many of you are in one-on-one coaching? Okay, who's your coach? Mike Ferry?
It's some of them.
It's okay.
Ninja.
Ninja? Perfect. Okay. How long were you in coaching?
Oh.
Forever.
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 And
Like-
many coaches and all wonderful.
Yes, yes. I've been in coaching since 2006. one-on-one coaching every week. I will not ever go without a coach.
Good.
Just because I have to be coached in order to coach, right? I go in and go, all right, I'm gonna lower all my walls. Just tell me what the freak is going on. Which is exactly the conversation that happened in April. Don Hobbs is my coach. Do you guys ever remember Hobbs Herder? For anybody who's been around for a super long time? Don Hobbs is the Hobbs in the Hobbs Herder. So I hired him to help me brand, and I hired him to help me build a coaching company. Because I knew that he was in the middle, he was the master of branding, and he was starting his own coaching company. How do you think that conversation went in April when I said, we closed 3.8 million for 18 deals. And we have a goal of 132. What would Kathy say? What would Heather say?
What are you doing? Not doing the right thing.
No, what are you doing? What
It's
the
not
hell
right.
is going
It's
on
not
here?
right.
Right? It was a very spirited conversation, I can tell you that. It might have lasted a little longer than 30 minutes. And what he said was, I'm tired of you whining. And I said, I'm not whining. I'm just telling you my excuses, my story, right? I have a brand new agent, I have all this stuff going on. And he's like, I'm done. Sick of it, done. Get on Amazon, order this book. I don't want to hear another word out of your mouth. Wait till you tell me after you bought it, and then we'll talk. So I had to get on Amazon during my coaching call, very expensive minutes, right? Order the 4 books, and he said, you're going to start this in 2 weeks. You're going to read it, and I'm not going to have another conversation with you until you get your shit together. Have you guys ever had a conversation like that with somebody that finally calls your bullshit meter? And then you go, all right, you win. So what we did is we re-engineered backwards our numbers. We said, okay, we are this far behind. What do we have to do in a 12-week time to start really catching up to our goal? So these are the goals that we came up with as a group. And by the way, we treated this as a book club. Another mistake, big failure. We did 2 chapters a week, Kathy. Came on Monday mornings to our office meetings, our little team meeting. Big mistake. Why?
No urgency.
Took too long. We didn't have all the details, right? Huge mistake. Now Dawn every Monday was kicking my ass, going, no, turn right, no, turn left, no, turn right. So these are our goals. We had a listing goal of 30 listings taken and 45 pending. Now that is me, a brand new agent, Eddie, who closed 4 in the first quarter, and another agent who closed 5. How do you think we did? This is our 12-week goal. 12-week goal. It's our first 12-week year. How'd we do? Turn the page. We took 29 listings and we pended 46.
You did good.
Okay? So after you've read the book, now that you know how bad we failed, what are some of the things do you think that we put in place?
Tell us.
How many goals did we have? 2. So Jeff, you were right on track when you said, I started looking at all this stuff and I started paring it down to keeping it simple. When you read the book, he says 1 personal, 2 business. Do not go over that. Why? There's too many things, right? And then your brain gets to go and be distracted at all these other little things, right? We had 2 things. So every week in coaching, Eddie and Jen and I, because I coach every week, you guys know that. You see me in the office every Tuesday morning, I'm coaching. And it was all about who's next, who's next, who's next. Where are you at, who's next? Because I knew from reading the book, we couldn't look far out. We couldn't say, oh yeah, I've got a listing coming in 5 months, or I've got a double deal coming up here. I want to know exactly what Heather said. What is this week? Who's your next person? And literally had them write them down. And that's all they had to do was go convert those 2 people the next week. Now, I'm telling you, we failed all over the place. And did we still succeed?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think happened to the belief of our goal for the year? Did it change? Do you think every single person on our team had success?
Yes.
Do you think it was messy?
Yes.
Do you think it was messy on the admin side?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, honey. Erica was like, what in the hell is happening here? you know, we're doing listings and we're doing this and we're doing that. And Jeff and Kim, you guys are in my office. All of a sudden, we started showing up on the leaderboard. I mean, like, literally out of the blue, right? We were really quiet, and all of a sudden we were like, oh my gosh, we're putting up millions a month versus just kind of hanging out. So what did you get out of that story?
The 12-week year works.
12-week year works.
Well, you also have to adjust.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the problem that most agents have that don't stay in the business, they don't have longevity. It's because markets change and shift and you have to adjust with them and your mindset has to adjust.
Yeah.
So I think with this 12-week year, it's great because the market can change drastically in 1 year. So if every 12 weeks you're resetting,
Yeah.
you're adjusting with the market.
You're adjusting way too late. If it's 12 months,
Correct.
right?
Like with this 12-week year, you're smaller.
You're adjusting
smaller
weekly.
adjustments. Right.
How much more control do you have over your business? This is huge, by the way.
I also love what you said about, like, it's the, like, each team member has a goal. Everyone is doing.
Yeah, so exactly what Kathy said, right? She wants to know, what are your goals? And by the way, if you keep them in a drawer, hidden, privately, you will never hit them. You have to put them out, and they have to be big, and they have to scare the crap out of you, because everybody else can see them too. And if you're afraid of that, get out of real estate.
You know what I heard, Shannon, that you said, and I think we all do this and it resonates with me. You stopped whining, you stopped making excuses, you got out of your comfort zone and you just did it.
Yeah.
And if we could all do that in this room, I'd like you, I know it's your hour and a half, but I have great agents that right now are good agents. Because when we meet for their yearly goal, they will tell me what doesn't work. Open houses don't work for me. Prospecting and on the phone doesn't work for me. So when we have all these things that in our head that doesn't work for us, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you overcame that, because you overcame it.
Yeah, it's just not an option. And by the way, part of that is keeping it down so simple, right? Okay, well, I have to go get 2 more people. How am I gonna do that? What are the activities in lead generation to go do that? And if you don't have those 2 next people, who are you prospecting? Who are you open housing? I mean, you guys, I picked up 3 double deals in the month of November doing open houses. 3 double deals, that's 6 deals. You know why? Because we were in a 12-week year. In November and December. We're gonna talk about how the timing works. Here's another fail. I did a pretty score sheet. Isn't this pretty? It's on Canva. It was so pretty. And this is how I kept score every week, and I put it up in the room. Big fail. This is our score sheet now. And when you read the book, why is this score sheet so much more important than that score sheet?
The first one shows you as the star.
The first one showed me as a star. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. That's a good point. What else?
It's kind of building block by block, and each person is, you're showing
A lot more than a number.
Looks like a lot more than the number, okay?
Well, you've got the actual actions.
And the people.
So,
The actual deals.
so down here are the goals. Eddie had 12. By the way, this was our second 12-week year. I had 10 listings taken. Casey Zillner, who's on my team, had 6. By the way, she had 7. And then over here was our pendings. Eddie had a goal of 20 pendings as a brand new agent in our second 12-week year. How many do you think he did? That score sheet was done before my final.
22.
I think he made it.
He did 20. So I had a goal for him of 48 deals his first year. By the way, this is a whole story in class in itself. What do you think he ended up closing this year? 50. Remember, he did 4 the first quarter. Did he have a big learning curve? Do you have a big learning curve when you first get into this business from another business? Yeah, it's huge, right? So how many do you think he did? What would be a really good score?
40, 30.
42.
Amazing.
42. English is his second language. So and many of you, how many of you guys closed with Eddie as a closer? Yeah. So he had the title knowledge, and he has a little bit of knowledge about it. Do you think he had any sales knowledge? No. By the way, he has a big long-term aspiration, and it is so compelling that he gets up and he's at the office before anybody else in our office every single day hitting it. You know why? Because he's going to support his parents. He got him out of Venezuela 2 years ago, and now his goal is to get him their own place to live in Cancun and get out of his sister's 2-bedroom house. Is that a very clear, defined, big, compelling long-term aspiration? He and I just had this conversation on Friday. He just got back from Cancun, and I said, okay, now what are your goals after visiting your family? He's like, I am so clear. I have to get to blank amount of money extra in my life to get my parents out. Do you think he's going to kill it this year?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to go back and relate to, what if we did Eddie's goals for the annual goal, if we did our business planning in October, which is normal, for 2020. By October, he was probably at about 25, 26 deals for the year. What do you think we would set his annual goal for if we were in our old thinking? In 2020.
Up it to 50, 52 or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, doubling would be huge, right?
Right.
Yeah, 35. Yet, because of the second 12-week year, he did 42. So, how do you think we're checking in on his annual goal this year?
His last 12 weeks.
We're not.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that goes, it's not congruent with what.
Right. We're not. Why?
It's not tied, it's day by day. You wanna tie it to his big goal.
Well, I think it goes back to, it's too daunting. It's like, so if you
Yeah.
think like, okay, so if you've only done 10, it gives you, in your mind, you're like, oh, I have 12 months to do all of this. If I only do 10 now, that's okay. I still have like 7 months left. And so if you chunk it down, like this book says to do, you get rid of that mindset. And then all of a sudden, he'll probably reach what he would have had his goal to be for 12 months, he'll probably reach it in like 6.
We don't even have an annual goal for 2020. Yes.
In the book, it talked about that, how if you're doing the daily things, that pulls out of your 12-week plan. That has, you don't even have to worry about the annual plan, because if you're doing the things you need to do to reach your 12-week goals, that all will work, it all takes care of itself.
So when will we set Eddie's next goal? When will Eddie set his next goal? I don't set his goals.
12 weeks.
Yeah, probably at about week 10.
Yeah.
In this 12-week goal, we're going to set his goals then for the next 12 weeks. Well, by the way, this 12 weeks, we started December 15th. His goal is, what do you think his goal is? It's 20. I'll tell you why in a little bit. It's really important. It's kind of like strengthening that muscle. You got to do it over and over and over again before you what? Increase your weight. So what if you had the New Year's feeling every 12 weeks? Did y'all have a good New Year's? Did you like celebrate, woo, that year is done, thank God I get to start over, this is awesome. What if you got to do that 4 times a year? What would it do to your mindset? Yeah, basically this is like chunking it down. Everything is chunking it down. So we're redefining business planning, and this is on page 6 of your handout. 12 weeks. We're gonna do tactics, actions, and get rid of what? Distractions. How many distractions do we have in real estate? How many of us, like me, look for distractions in real estate?
Right.
Oh, you need that right now? Okay, I'll do it. What if it's between 9 and 11 and that's my appointment with myself to lead generate? Do you allow yourself to get distracted during that time?
Yep.
Do you distract each other in your offices during that time? So if you just had an agreement with everybody here in the room that if I'm on one of my time blocks, my strategic tactical time blocks, please do not distract me until I'm done, how much more could you get done? And I know you guys like each other, right? You're fun, you have fun together, you're friends, that's awesome. Do not talk to me during my little strategic block time. Could you all have an agreement to do that? You could come up with a universal signal. Or random mastermind like, no, not that one. I like that one, not that one. You could have something on your cubes. You could have something on your office. I mean, way back when I had plastic frogs because it was eating the frog, right? And we put it on our windows so that nobody knocked on our door during that time. What if you actually got rid of distractions? What if you didn't allow yourself to be distracted when people wanted you right now? Because I'm telling you, when I ran an office, I love distractions. And I literally had to employ my staff. I had to have them manage me because if I had to go in and lead generate until I set my 2 or 3 appointments for recruiting, I told them, do not let me out of my office until I've set my 2 appointments. Ever. That's how I recruited 90 to 100 agents a year. Because they made me stay in there until I've set my appointments. So here's what would happen. I'd escape. And I'd go to the restroom. Every day of the week, one of them was assigned to me. Which was, by the way, I did this on purpose because I know how my brain works. You have to understand, are you a variety or a batcher? We're going to talk about that more in the live session. I'm a variety. I like to do a lot of different things. Get it all done. I just like it in different orders. So I go to the restroom and then I'd attempt to go right, go down the agent hall, right? Nope, there they were, right outside of the restroom. Have you set your 2 appointments? Nope. They'd lock arms with me. Back into the office I went. Can you have agreements like this on your team?
Yes.
Can you help each other stay focused? Because if one person is distracting everybody, you're taking money away from everybody. What are your thoughts on distractions? How do you keep them from happening now? We don't?
Like when I do my Monday morning agenda, I don't even, my phone doesn't even work for me.
That's a great one.
Put it away, I don't put on email or anything, I get all my stuff done, get a plan, and then same with making calls.
Well, I find that when people call you to try to distract you, if you tell them that you're busy and try to get them to work it out, 9 times out of 10, by the time you go back to them, they've worked it out. And so that's one thing I feel like some people that really, they ask for help before they try to figure it out themselves. So I think that's.
Yeah, and by the way, if you put a voicemail on your phone, I heard somebody do this in an office a long time ago. Hey, by the way, if this is one of my sellers, I just want to let you know I'm lead generating for a buyer for your listing right now. I will give you a call back after 11 o'clock. Is that going to piss off any seller?
No.
No! Because and by the way, do you tell them that at the listing appointment? Yeah. Do you lead generate every day? Yeah, by the way, one of the things that differentiates us as a team is we lead generate for buyers every day for your listings. We do that typically between 9 and 11. So if you call me during that crucial time, just know that I may not return your call until after 11. Is that okay? Yes. Then they call and get your voicemail. Are they upset? No. Right? It's all about setting expectations. It's also making sure that you set expectations for yourself and you have appointments for yourself and that you what? Keep them. Quit negotiating with yourself. You will always lose. It just works like that. Next page in your handout. What and why? Why is this such a complete paradigm shift? Now, Brian Moran was a consultant, and he started working with businesses, and he literally realized that he could get businesses to do in 12 weeks what they had done in an entire year. So he says a year is like a month is like a week, and a week is like a day. And so literally, if I said, if you could just do one thing for 12 weeks, that's it. Then you got to take a break and you got to go on vacation, you got to reshift, and you got to hang out and relax. Would you do it? Yes. Just 12 weeks. That's what this is all about, not 12 months. So I had a couple people in our class, so I want to pick on you guys for a minute. Amy and Jane. Amy, when you came to the class, you had told me that you'd already read the book. She was already implementing it with your entire team. You had a couple people from your team in the course. What's happened? Because you had just started your 12-week year.
Yeah. So what I love about this, and because our businesses are so aligned, I love that there's a seasonality component, so we started in November. So if our business is so much different in November, December, and January than it is in February, March, and April. So that's what I was so excited about, is we were gonna kind of create this level set. And we started on odd days, so it was the 4th of November through the 27th of January. But so we're able to business plan around those times. And what I explained to my team is last year, at that time when we started at the end of October, we did not know that, so this is kind of the folly in an annual plan, if you will. We did not know that we were gonna be Prosperity Home Mortgage. We had no idea what the rate market was gonna do, right? So those are things that had a huge impact on our business last year, that if we had sat down and done our annual plan in October of 2018, everything would have been out the window by May, because we had rates went down and we became Prosperity in February.
How many more people did you hire in that year as well?
And I also added 8 people in that year. So those 8 people started to get the hang of it, get things figured out. So that was something else that, again, we couldn't have planned for or forecasted. Having those people in place, doing the things that they needed to do every day, that had a direct impact on our business.
So what does your pipeline look like now in January and February
So,
versus last year in
yeah.
January and February?
So completely night and day. We surpassed our annual budget by August of this last year. And so then it was kind of like, okay, well, what do we do now? So from a production standpoint, we were up 55% over last year. And we also beat Iowa. And not that this is a big deal or anything, but
yes, it is.
They're kind of like my Rob Ellerman. So, and I have been way distant in his rearview mirror, like not even close for a long time. And so, and we kind of crushed him too. So like it wasn't like this year.
It wasn't just like by $1 million. It was like
So for me, it's completely transformed the way that we approach everything that we do every day. And by really being deliberate and focusing on 2 or 3 activities, for those of you who have read the 4 Disciplines of Execution, for me this whole concept is start with why, 4 Disciplines of Execution, and Atomic Habits, all sort of rolled into one, and it is just it's so powerful and really actually lovingly simple.
So you didn't do an annual plan?
No.
Darn it.
And I have a new manager now. And she emailed me yesterday all these, and so I replied back and I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I don't annual plan. So I can tell you where we are in this 12 weeks and how I'm budgeting out for the next 12 weeks. But you're not gonna get an annual plan for this year, so sorry.
By the way, will she end up doing more because she's not setting herself expectations and not knowing what's coming up? Jane?
So I started mine in
October or November?
mid-November, yeah. And being somebody that I don't have a whole lot of self-confidence in making change.
Until now.
Yes, 2020 new year. I had set my goal to just get 6 listings. You're gonna say that's not much for me, that's a lot. Take 6 listings
calendar on this slide, which is awesome, so thank you. 12-week year is not a quarterly plan. We do not line it up on the quarters. Do not start this March 1st. Start it in the middle of the month. Start it on an odd. Start it on a Monday, right? And run your 12-week year. Because what do our brains automatically do if it's on the quarter or it's on the annual? Okay, you go back to your old level of thinking, right? This is a total paradigm shift. Number 2, there's nothing like a deadline to keep you on track. Okay, so do you have rewards set up? Do you have, what do you get when you get there? If you hit your personal goal, what do you get? I want you to ask yourself that question. And if you don't have a clear answer, then ask yourself the question again. What do you really get? What do you get? Are you going to reward yourself? Are you going to go on a trip? Are you going to actually go have a spa day with somebody who you really care about that you never take time to do? Are you going to check out on a vacation and have somebody else watch your phone? This year I went to Spain for 10 days and I left my phone in the United States.
Oh, wow.
During a 12-week year. By the way, how good was my vacation? Really good, because I lost my iPad on the plane on the way to Ireland. I got it back. God really did not want me to have any technology on this trip. I went with my parents, my 2 sisters, and their husbands. It's the first time we've taken a family trip in 35 years. How important is it sometimes that we really check out? If you kill it, do you earn the right to go check out with your kids on an afternoon, Lindsay? Yep. Absolutely. And do you feel guilty when you do that because you killed it? Nope. Timely. Feedback weekly. This is, by the way, in our planner that you'll get in the course. You have a score sheet at the bottom and you calculate your percentage daily, not even weekly. Are you hitting 85% on a daily basis? Are you writing down the right keystone tactics? Which that's all the brainstorm in the live session. And then the action, what tactical strategies? Are you focused on lead indicators or are you focused on lag indicators? This also comes into the 4DX, the 4 disciplines of execution. Are you focused on the right things? If you're focused on closings, what is that? Lag. That's too late. You've got to focus on your activities and what you're doing and how you're moving forward. What happens when you're getting ready to leave town? And you're going, say, out of the country, and you're 3 days before you leave, what happens? You get all crazy. How productive are you?
Really?
How efficient are you? So when you have a 12-week year, can you see how your urgency and your efficiency comes way up? You only have this much time. We did a focus group. We had a $30 million producer in there, and he said, well, that seems like a fictitious deadline in my brain. So how do I really pull that down? How would you pull that down to make it real? It's a great question, by the way. What reward do you get? What's your reward? And how compelling is your what? Long-term aspiration. If you kill it 4 12-week years a year, by the way, you may kill it, you may choose to do 3 12-week years. Because you're so incredibly focused, you earn to take the summer off. Not really, honestly. I gotcha. Right? What I'm saying though is that you earn the right to go check out on vacations. How much more refreshed are you when you come back and hit it after you've actually had a vacation?
I look at Eddie Morales and what he wants to accomplish with his family, with his baby, with his children, and we all have, whether it's getting the money to retire early and enjoy life, whether it's giving it back to our kids or our grandkids. But if you think about it, we all have needs and we've got to fulfill them.
Yeah.
So I think these big audacious goals, you got to get there.
Yeah.
So I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and it really is about being very clear about what that is. He is so clear, right? If you're not clear, you've got to keep asking yourself questions or have more conversations with your team leader, Kathy and Heather, and figure out what is my clarity. And as you change and your kids grow up and they leave the house and they go to college and all of that, do your long-term aspirations possibly move? Yeah. So you can't just have one in your 20s and 30s and expect it to hold the whole life, right? Everything changes. So I'm going to tell you a story about Allison Levine. Does anybody know who this is? Allison Levine is the first lady to take, you met her? An all-women's expedition on Mount Everest. And she's one of the only 40 people in the world to do all the mountains. And I actually got to hear her talk at the Berkshire Hathaway convention this year, and she does, some of the points that she brought out were so in alignment with this class and this book, it's crazy. So let's look at them. Number one, she completed the journey in 2016, the second time that she did it. The first time they ran out of oxygen. Do you know that there are over 700 books written about climbing Mount Everest?
Wow.
If there's over 700 books about climbing it, why don't more people do it? It's hard. Yeah. There's also more than 25 paths to get to the top. Yet 98% only take 2 paths. Why? Because they're proven, people have gone before them, right? And all of them hire Sherpas. Okay? What does a Sherpa do?
Guide.
They're the guide. What else?
They do the heavy lifting.
They do the heavy lifting. What else? They've been there before.
Yep.
Right? What else? They plan. They help you what?
They help keep you safe.
They help keep you safe. What else?
They take baby steps,
Yeah.
little steps.
Do they go ahead and check it out and make sure
Yes.
it's safe for the hikers to go, the mountaineers? Okay. By the way, it only takes 2 months to climb Mount Everest. 2 months. I love these facts, by the way, and I'm going to read these because this is just mind-blowing to me. Approximately 40 days are spent going from base camp to the summit. That means 20 days gets you to base camp. Now I want you to go back and think about what Eddie's doing. By the way, we all did the same goals in this 12-week year that we did the last 12-week year. Why? We're practicing getting to base camp, right? Our base camp is hitting that number. If we don't hit it, we don't get to move on and go to the next base camp until we land at that base camp. So when you look at Mount Everest, you look at all these different base camps. By the way, we chose as a team to stay at the same 12-week this year because we know in spring what will happen. Will the market affect us? The market's affecting us. So we knew if we mastered the systems at this level, what could we then do in the spring? We're going to go up to another base camp. And our next base camp may be 60, maybe 65. We don't know yet because it's not in our 10-week yet, right? So how important are the Sherpas? Do people die without Sherpas? Yep. Would people get out of the business without a Sherpa in real estate? Okay. Who are your Sherpas? Leaders and coaches. Who else? Brokers. Who else? Are you a person that allows somebody else to do the heavy lifting? That they can see through the trees ahead of you and guide you, and they're trustworthy enough that they can tell you right, left, and get there faster? Or are you so stuck in your head that you absolutely know everything and you don't need a Sherpa in this business? Gabby's had a Sherpa for a long time. I've had a Sherpa since 2006. And the reason I tell you that story is because we're experiencing it. We're in our third 12-week year. I have no idea what we're going to do this year. In 2018, it was basically me and an admin. We did 18.8 million. This year we closed 29.5 with 2.5 people and an awesome admin. So there's 4 of us. We call ourselves the Fab Four. I have no idea what we're going to do. Does it matter if I know that right now? No. By the way, we already have pending in the first quarter what we closed all of last year in the first quarter. We already have 5 million sitting in listings that are not sold yet. There's 3 of us. Am I inspiring you yet? And by the way, don't sit there and go, well, it's because you've been a coach, you know how to do everything. By the way, this is my passion about helping people to get you there. And Jane and Amy, you guys are on our weekly calls. You know Stacy and I have a lot of fun on those, and we're just pouring into you because That's what fills my bucket. It's not selling houses. And if you ever tell a seller that I'm competing with you on that, I will cut you. Selling houses is not fun for me. Coaching and training is what gets me going. And do you have to know what really gets you going? Yeah. And by the way, do the little people in our lives help us figure that out really clearly? Yeah. So when I was a mom selling real estate, Ellie was 3, I was in Sam's and walking me through, and back then I think we had flip phones or Blackberries or I don't know, something crazy like that. My phone rang, she grabbed it out of the basket and threw it down on the concrete floor. She was 3. How do you think she is to me now at 18 when I get on the phone?
The same.
Yeah, it's even uglier, right? Because she has more words. So my point is, yeah. And what are we robbing when we don't do our job during the day and we take it home with us at night? Who are we robbing? What are our relationships like? How are we damaging our world? So let's talk about the class. Get the plan. Please turn the page. Here's the offer. You've already had a pre-class. There's actually an online class that will be available probably tomorrow. It's a digital class that Stacy does. Stacy's my partner. We have a live event scheduled for January 21st. Now, Kathy asked me to pare this down. So I did some of the introduction today so that we could pare it down to keep you in the field as much as possible that day. It is from 9 to 12:30. Those of you who decide to hire a Sherpa and go to the next base camp, I will send you the information. It is a theater in Oak Park Mall. Has anybody ever been to that little theater? If you walk in by Nordstrom's, it is one of the coolest places. And a gentleman that sponsors that owns a title company, and that's not why I'm holding it there. It's his big why and his long-term aspiration, because that theater changed his daughter's life so much. He works super hard, so it's a room that I get anytime I want just to have, events. And so it's from 9 to 12:30. After that, we know that if we just teach you in that live session and drop you, what? That might have just been really good entertainment, right? That's why I look at training. It's entertainment. So we're gonna follow up on January 23rd, January 27th, 2 one-hour live Facebook sessions. Now, Jane and Amy are on live Facebook with us almost every Monday at 1 o'clock. That's our alumni group. Once you go through the course, you get right rolled into that. By the way, right now, Mike, we're talking about the 4DX. We're talking about the 4 disciplines. Last Monday, you can go back and watch all of our recorded Facebooks. We're doing 1 discipline a week. Last week was the first discipline. Today is the second discipline. Because these all tie together. By the way, as a company and leading RE, 4DX, the 4 Disciplines of Execution, is a big push. It's a great book. It's a great process. This just gets you to do it. You can think about it, talk about it all day long. The question is, are you going to do it? You get lifetime support. If you need access to us, just call me. Jane, have we had conversations? Amy, have we had conversations? Yeah, we're not scary. We really want you to move forward. I cannot imagine if everybody went through this and you were all on the same page, right? Because if your buddies don't go through it, they're going to be on a different language level than you are. And they can't come back and teach it to you. Why? It would be like me going to a Tim McGraw concert, and then I'm going to come in here and sing for you and expect you to get the same experience, right? It's because of the conversations that happen in the room. We never know what conversations are going to happen in the room. Because I'm a coach, I'm not a trainer. I'm not going to teach the same thing. Lifetime support, productivity and planning system sessions every Monday at 1 with all the alumni. Right now we have 30 people in that group. They are from different companies, which is kind of fun. All different volume levels, and everybody participates. And we also give you a planner. So the planner, here I'll show you, my system. I like the tool planner because I like to hole punch. I don't like to spiral bind. I really, really like pockets and stuff. And so basically I have my 12-week year in here, And I just do 4 weeks at a time. Because otherwise when I print it out, it's too thick. So this is what my team uses, and this is just what the planner looks like. So you have your keystone tactics every day. You can go in and calculate how did you do, what was your 85%. And then all materials, templates, swipe files, scripts, planning, and anything we do in the future, you're automatically included in. So, what's a swipe file? Something that we make, create in Canva, and we just send you as a copy, and you can go in and just edit it. We do all kinds of stuff in this alumni group, by the way. 1 week, we knew everybody was hitting overwhelm in their 12-week year. We just stopped and had a session on overwhelm. That's all we talked about. How do we get out of it? We have sessions on lead generation. We have sessions on expires. We have sessions on all kinds of things, mostly about lead generation, keeping your time blocking. Right now we're going through the 4DX. And these are topics that just come up from our coaching over years and years and years that we want to put into play. We're building a library. We're building a tribe. This is the beginning of the company. What questions can I answer for you about the event? You have to go through the live event to get on the weekly calls. You can't cheat. Why? You're going to slow everybody else down. You don't get to do that. Okay? What else? If you had a $2 million listing appointment for 3.5 hours, would you make sure that you cleared your schedule and made it? That's funny, right? So I had a lady who drove from Fargo, North Dakota to my bold class in Minneapolis for 7 weeks in a row, which was 4 hours in January and February. By the way, she became the rookie of the whole company, doing $380,000 her first year in gross commission income. Why?
Determination.
Yeah, determination. She had committed. She was gonna do it.
She wanted it.
She wanted
She
it.
was hungry.
Yeah, she wanted out of her old cold calling life. It was miserable. I ended up coaching her as an agent in 2017. And at that point, I think she was closing 50 million, and she's 32 years old. Yeah, pretty young. 197 is our cost. On the last page. Uh-oh. Do you have a?
Yeah.
You have a QR code. Thank you, God. Thank you. I just looked at somebody's and I didn't see the QR
Right there.
code. You have a QR code. You can scan it on your camera. You can go right to the site and you can register. Stacy, my partner, is super techy. I am not. That's why she's my partner. Anything that you guys would like to add that have taken it, who are on calls with us every Monday? Does it help you?
Yes.
So Amy, you told me on Mondays it gives you a little juice. Yeah. And you know we're gonna throw a few jokes in there too, always. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. What other questions can I answer for you?
Is it 9 to 1 or 9 to 12:30?
9 to 12:30. Did I not change that? Okay. Yeah. 9 to 12:30. Here's what we're gonna do in that session. We're gonna go through the rest of the 12-week. We're going to teach you what the tactics are. We're going to brainstorm on what your keystone tactics should be. You're going to walk out of there with a 12-week plan almost written, and then we're going to follow up on the next 2 live calls to make sure you have it done. And you're going to have questions, and you're going to bang your head, and that's exactly what those calls are for. Yes.
So what should we do between now and
Yeah.
January 21st?
What should you do?
Yeah.
Lead generate. Go get 20 listings this week. And by the way, I would prepare your family. By the way, I'm going on a 12-week journey. Will you go with me? Enroll them. Don't tell them. Here's what we get together as a family when we get there. Yes?
So on the Monday calls, is it just forever? I mean, like,
Yep.
what are the stuff? Okay.
Yeah, forever. It is our brain dump. It is fun, and you can go back. You can join and go back and watch from all the beginnings. They're all recorded in our closed Facebook group.
And if you're gone, you can go back in and pull up the link. Like I was gone the week before last and I couldn't get in there, but I can go and I can pull it up. The only thing I can't do is ask questions currently at that time, but I can read the questions that people have sent in and the answers and I can still submit them. And they're
and do we respond?
Yes.
Always.
They're really accessible.
Yeah.
Always.
My goal is that KBT takes #1 again next year.
Oh, hey Shannon, stand up there with me for a minute.
Yes.
I'm gonna address Sandy's question really quickly. What's gonna happen from now until January 21st? We are taking the 12-week year in which Shannon has taught us so far, and every Monday, when you are at your individual offices, or when we come together as a group, we are sharing where we are in our scorecard. We are not waiting till the 21st to start this. We are starting it now, and it's gonna be quick, but you need to be prepared. So we'll go around, it could be 2 minutes per person, but we're sharing where we are now. Are we at 50? Are we at 65? Are we at 85? We are doing this starting today. We are already coming into the second week of January, and we will be adapting this. Our yearly goal that I did with all of you, we're breaking that down now into 12-week increments. So we haven't lost anything, but what I'm gonna ask all of you to do, Becky, all of you, Danette, Sandy, James, look at what you said you do for the year, and now you're gonna break it down for me in 12-week increments, depending on your vacation, depending on what month it is, and then that's what we're gonna talk about for pending and deals and closed, because of this woman here. So I'm excited, can we give Ms. Shannon a big round?
Thank you.